Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in with us on this week's Kingdom Talk. I have missed Kingdom Talk so much, and we got one of my favorite guests with us today, Brother Michael. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Just honored to have you. Before we started, presence of the Lord's already moving in this building. So many exciting things to talk about too. In the room adjacent to us, it has been a 5-year process. They're hooking up fiber today.
I saw the Comcast truck outside.
This gentleman, he's been here a few times, and he is actually a worship pastor at a large church in Chattanooga. So
Wow.
he's very involved. Every time we're here, I enjoy talking to him. We're going, just to give you guys an idea, we're going from the number 39 as our upload to 1,000.
Okay.
So with like the gentleman behind the camera, Brother Mitchell, and Brother Bill, Chloe will notice this probably more than anybody. When we're uploading our broadcast to TV, it's taking us from the number 39 to 1,000. So the speed's going to be exponential. And we're excited, and we're thankful. It gives us more opportunity of outreach. Next thing, and I've got stuff to talk to Brother Michael, but I got to touch on this. Team has worked so hard on these prayer journals. And how this works, there's some encouraging verses and there's some encouraging things in here, and it talks a little bit about our free resources. But Dad, and this is true, Dad has these notebooks just spiral bound, and he writes a prayer request. And when he started the 5 a.m. prayer, he's got a spiral bound notebook of answered prayer requests. And
Wow.
not per page, like some may be 3 lines, some may be 2 words. I mean, like one of them was a healing in my body, and that was just like, Lord, praying for my son's healing. And then just a notebook, a full one of answered prayers. So Dad, when he does it, this was his vision, and he did it in his personal life, and he wanted to transition it to where we would have access. He puts what he's praying about, the day he started praying, and then he puts a spot for when God answers it. And he said, what's the point
Wow.
of us praying if we don't have that belief God's going to answer?
That's true.
And, Jesse told him, Jesse's like, no, that's a big move. You want that? And Dad said, that's our belief. That's what we rely on. So I encourage you. 3 weeks ago on a Tuesday, we had 3 dire need prayer requests answered before 12 o'clock. And one of them, Sister Meredith, that comes to church, she texted and said they gave my brother, he's in ICU, they gave him 18 minutes. He was going into a surgery, and they said no hope. They sent him home the same day.
Wow.
And the doctor was like, this, I've never seen in this heart situation this happen. And that's just God. That ain't, and we give a lot of thanks to the medical team, but that's just our God. So we have belief in this. So if you want one of these, and this is an exciting thing, we're giving these away free just to help you and stir you in your prayer life, to pick up prayer requests you've laid down. Brother Michael, how long did your mom pray for Brother Charles?
It's funny you asked that. The other night I was at work, and I was going through the YouTube, and I just saw an old sermon where when my dad testified, and my mom was up singing it, but she testified when she actually come to the Lord. But 30 years, I think he said about 30 years where she prayed for him before she.
And we're Dad calls us the microwave generation. We start it and we want it now. But if we're going to be honest, I was telling the team this morning, I said, if you know Dad moves slow. He likes to pray about stuff. Dad's a slow cooker. He's a crock pot. And sometimes I've seen God, we pray for something and it happened instantly. But I've seen 30 years and God moves. It doesn't change his power.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't change his ability. And Brother Charles, his life's changed just the same as if it was the second she prayed it the first time. I love the parable that Jesus told us in the New Testament. Just keep petitioning, keep pushing, and keep praying. Michael, talk to us a little bit about prayer life.
Well, I mean, me personally right now, I'm trying to, as I continue to grow with my relationship with Christ, I'm trying to set aside some time every day to read and pray. My prayer life is not where it should be, but I'm getting there. Just I know, just watching my mom over the years and seeing her pray. I mean, I can recall times where her and Sister Betty, Sister Jerry would pray multiple times a day. But just just seeing things that's happening in my family's life or just in my life and that's coming to pass from just prayers that she's laid up. So it's definitely an important part.
I think something in my prayer life that's helped me greatly, and praying in secret is huge. You got to have that personal relationship. But Michael touched on this, and this has actually been instilled in me a lot. I do a lot of private praying, and I realize my kid watches me, mimics me. If I do something wrong, she's probably going to do it 4 times. How important is it for us to show prayer in front of somebody else? And we don't realize how much people's watching us. Michael said, talking about how he watched his mom and Sister Betty Jarrett. Seeing Dad pray, but seeing so many leaders in the church pray encouraged me, like, this is something, not only do we do it because we do it, but this is something that has power behind it. This is something that has change behind it. I think let me talk about me. I can get guilty of getting in a routine of, okay, if I set aside this time, I'm going to pray for 3 minutes and be done. But God don't want a routine.
No, He doesn't. And there's times that I'm just sitting at home and because I'm a morning person, so I'm up early. So I'm just sitting there in the morning. I'm listening to some praise music, and sometimes I just feel like there's a spot at the house upstairs, and I have a closet that I'll go to, and I just get by myself. And if I just feel that, I just go in there and just pray and just go before the Lord, and that's my time. And sometimes I'm just driving, and it's like. Just asking God for just things,
This, and you may have seen it already, but if not, I want to send this to you. This young gentleman, Levi, taught Sunday night, and he made God just seem enormous. And by the end of church, I was like, oh my goodness, God's just huge. And then it hit me emotionally the next day. I was like, God's this big, and yet He'll tug on me. And like you're saying, you feel that. Explain that. What is that even like?
It's hard to even put into words. I just even just this morning, just listening to some. It was a song I was listening to, and it just made me think about how big God is, but He chose me. He's coming after me. There's so many times in my life I just feel like the Lord just. Sometimes you just feel abandoned, but you don't. Sometimes you don't feel it, but. And there's, obviously there's things in life I'm not proud of that I've done in the past, but God He still chased after me, and it just I can't even put it into words. It's just that how can you not want to serve God? That's the way I look at it. How can you not believe? How can you not want to serve God? And then I've been reading a lot in the Old Testament, and then I was. The story of, the David and Goliath, and one thing I never caught before when I was reading is how Saul wanted to give David his armor, but he didn't want it. And but I was like, he didn't want something from a man, but he was out there on his faith, and it's what he believed in God. If you just one thing I'm learning is just to trust God. Just put all your trust in the faith and the Lord. He will carry you through anything. And I've learned that so much, especially in these past 2 years since my mom has passed, and just where I know I've grown a lot. And I still got a lot of room to go. But if anybody didn't believe this is real. God is real. This thing is real, and I have not enjoyed so much peace in my life as I have in these past 2 years, where I've just really been reading the Bible and trying to pray and just trying to I've had more peace. There's nothing in this world that compares. There's nothing out there, and I just want to continue to grow and then serve the Lord.
We get a lot of people reaching out, and then they see the anointing on Dad's life. They see the anointing on the worship teams. They watch the podcast. And then the enemy tells them, and they feel this quickly, I'm undeserving of that. And we can look at Adam and Eve, how they messed up and they felt undeserved. But when God met them, he met them with a coat dripping in blood to cover them in their sin. Whatever you feel undeserving, an instinct is to run away, but we got to have an instinct to run to. Something that's helped me greatly is figuring out running to God. I was walking with my daughter, and a dog growled at her. And her instinct wasn't to run towards the dog. It wasn't to run towards the woods. She ran straight to me. And I thought, how much trouble have I gotten myself in running towards things that are going to hurt me, running away from God who can't protect me when I'm away from him, and limiting his power in my life. I want to encourage you today, this stuff's real, and his love and grace towards us is, I can't put words into it. I can't even explain how much he loves us. I can't even put into detail. And I think some of you are hearing this and thinking, I'd love that, what Brother Michael's talking about, but I don't deserve it. We don't deserve it.
I know there's multiple times where I felt like I didn't deserve it. There's times, I've been coming to this church for years, probably 30 years. It's been a long time, but it's just, I come and then you get close, and then the enemy comes in. It's like, oh, you don't deserve this. Look what you've done in the past, and then I'll turn away. But now it's just I refused. I refuse to let the devil tell me I'm not deserving of what God has for me, and that's my mindset. That's my attitude. And then I come to church and I see all these leaders in church, and I watch my father. And here lately, I know my father's, obviously my family's gone through a lot since my mom died, but just watching him and now, it's encouraging to me, and I know what the things that's happening in your family's life when you're with your grandfather, and watching your dad and the load he carries, and these things I watch, and it's encouraging to me because just lean on God. And I know that's what your dad does. He trusts and leans on God. And also that's what my father's doing. He's just trusting God, and he will carry you through. And
I'm a worship music guy. You'll see people, they like more of the folk style Christian music. They like the Southern gospel. They like all the different styles. But right now, my favorite song is I Can't Even Walk Without You Holding My Hand. And if you look at David was unbelievable man of God. This dude broke all 10 commandments. If you think of that, he broke all 10 of them. And then he comes out and he talks about the Lord as his shepherd. He talks about the praise that I've messed up and cried out and I need God. I feel if you're in a mess right now, if you'll cry out, God will pick you up. The Bible tells us no man can come to him unless the Father draw him. The enemy's not put you in front of this podcast. The enemy's not put you in a place to feel the Spirit of God. That's God drawing you. And that's God missing you. God gave us the parable. Jesus gave us the parable of the prodigal son. And what he said is that father was there waiting, looking down that road for him. And I feel there's a breakthrough in someone's life watching this. This isn't happenstance. We didn't come here and this just come up. God's doing something.
I agree.
I encourage you. So I enjoy hearing music. What's some of your favorite styles of music right now? What's the song you're enjoying?
Oh God, there's one with Donna McClurkin, How Great Is Your Mercy, or something. I can't.
Oh, you and Dad would hit it off on that one.
I love that song, and I hear it and just makes me think about my life and things, and then sometimes I just start praising the Lord, and then some tearing up. It's just, but I love that song. And then there's some. I'm kind of like yourself. I just like a little mixture of everything. It's just some things. Some songs just touches my heart more than others. But right now, that one's been one that's just been that's touched my life. Well, of course, this morning was a song called "Marvelous." I think it's by Walter, and that one was just listen to some of the words and some of the songs. Just touches my heart, and
I have no clue the style of this song, but it's really good. I think it's Kobe Carnes, and it's "O Son of David." That one I've been wearing out, and then I can't get away from Maverick City. I thank God. Kara ran through the house because I say it all the time. Just when I ran out of road, I met a man I didn't know. That hits home. God is so good to us. So you said you're reading Old Testament right now. People have a lot of questions how we study, and I love to ask different leaders of the church how they study. What takes you to a story? How do you pick a story? Do you get drawn in? What do you do?
Honestly, right now, I just made it in my mind. Hey, I want to read through the Bible. I've done the New Testament. So I'm in the Old Testament, but as I'm reading and some of these stories is this like they come to life. It's funny because I read the Bible before, but now I'm reading it and it's some things just they're opened up. It's just I see things differently now as opposed to then, and the stuff I didn't catch before and catching in. So what I do, I just I use a lot of stuff. I'm using my phone. I'll just highlight that and there's some scriptures and things, and I'll go back to it. And so because some scriptures just like, man, this really hits home. It makes sense to me. So
when we go, I'm going to send you a commentary someone sent me on their Bible app.
Okay.
And it has been helping me a lot, just seeing spiritual insight. What amazes me, they're finding out more and more the Hittite kingdom. They use that as a way to disprove the Bible. There was no Hittite kingdom. We looked it up. We've searched all around where it was supposedly located. In 2014 or 16, they found it. Oh. So we know the Bible, Old Testament history is true. We have no doubt in this as Christians. We blindly believe it. We just know it. But it's amazing, this history, how God has so many stuff in our spiritual man today to teach us. So how do you find that? How do you read a history story and it helps you? Like, is it a prayer? Like, what are you doing?
I think for me, I just read and I just think about things that's happened in my life and or just things that's just transpired. And I read these stories and it's like, man, that sounds like something I've gone through. I mean, I know it's different times, but it's just like this. I've dealt with this, and it just helps. And then you want to get. It's like, man, I just want to dig into it more and read, and it's like. So for me, it's just. I guess for me, that's pretty much what I that's what I'm doing. It's just some things just touches me, and it makes me want to. Just read a lot more. Something I can't remember where I was at, but. When I was reading it, it was like I was like a little kid. I was like excited. I can't wait to get to the next page. I can't wait to get to the next page. No. This is really good stuff. But and just to seeing even back in the Old Testament times, and just to see how God moved and how powerful He was or is, and it's just amazing. It's like, yeah, because when you in your New Testament you see when Jesus was actually on earth and you saw the miracles and things He's done, but it's just hard to even. Well, you said earlier how big God is, and how can all the people on earth who can just reach all of us at any time, all the time. It's just it's amazing.
I really enjoy science. I'm not smart by any means, but I love to watch it and I love to just keep up with the new things. And they have this thing, it's called the James Webb Telescope. And I talked about this in Sunday school. And when I read this and saw the pictures, they said to test this telescope, we wanted to pick a pin spot in the sky, the darkest spot, and zoom in on it to see if it could see anything. So this telescope is over $1 billion. It's made of gold to grab the most light possible. And it zooms in and it finds in the darkest spot in our sky hundreds of galaxies.
Wow.
And in those hundreds of galaxies was, they said, trillions or billions of solar systems with gazillions of planets. And when you look up at the darkest spot you can see is all that. And God did that by speaking. And then I come down, and what's helping me is I look at my prayer journal and I'm praying about something, and in my flesh and in my doubt, I'm like, this is a big deal, God. This is going to take a lot of work. But then when I think of that, I'm like, God can literally do anything. He's not limited. He's not small. And if God goes and blesses Brother Michael, that isn't a blessing that he can't give me, because there's no limit to him.
That's true.
If I see Mitchell get blessed in church, my flesh may think, well, I don't want to bother God. He's already helping somebody else today. God can help Mitchell at the exact same time he can help me. God can go over to China when someone's getting saved and getting delivered and help me get saved and get delivered at the exact same time. I can't even fathom.
It's hard to fathom.
I can't even tell you how. So like we're putting in here one spot. I want to tell you a little bit about here. We have healing, where you're praying for maybe healing in yourself or someone you know, salvation, praying for salvation for people. But a spot in here, needs. And there's needs that we may think, well, this isn't big enough to bother God with, or this isn't important enough to bother God with. Papa was sitting at a little different table than this, but right over here. And Papa said, if you knew everything I prayed about, you'd laugh at me. Because he said, if it's big enough to plague me, he said, I'm bringing it to God. And I want to be stirred up like that. If it's a problem to me, God, it's a problem where God can come in and move. Prayer life. Just being real, is it hard sometimes to pray about your own needs?
It is. It is. I just, I guess I feel selfish if I'm just praying for myself all the time, but I get joy out of, praying for others, and then especially when seeing some things come to pass that you pray for, and then here recently my mother-in-law's been going through some things, and I was just praying for her, and there's one of these issues is just come to pass, and so I even tell my wife, I say, hey, that's a prayer, a prayer answered. So because she's been trying to do a whole lot more stuff than she doesn't need to do, and a lot of stress on her body. It's like, man, she just needs to be in a position where she can just rest, and things worked out, and she don't have to. She's not required to go do all the other additional things she was doing. So the Lord is good, and
that's not only God's power, that's how much He cares. I think if we could fathom, kids make you see things different.
Yes,
Carol will let you know every inconvenience in her life. Now, 9 out of 10, sometimes I'm like, now listen, this, and this. But if I can, I'm just going to jump in and fix what I can. And it's only because I'm allowed to be known of them. It's only because they're made known to me that I make an impact at anything. Is it Leonard Ravenhill? Every prayer not prayed is not answered. And we sometimes don't even give opportunity to God to move in our lives because we don't bring it to Him.
That's true.
So one of the things, this is the first Tuesday of the month, and on the first Tuesday we jointly pray as our church against addiction in our nation, in our youth, and in the people. And we've been seeing God doing incredible things. We got 10 people at our church delivered of some sort of substance. One of them was addicted for over 40 years, and they're just completely set free. Oh, and then you got to watch a new one, Brother Kenny's testimony, which is awesome. So we've seen prayer work, and we've seen bringing and petition things to God and God moving. So I want to encourage you. I feel like today's a lot about belief in God and encouragement in God.
I agree with definitely. I know. I've learned to trust God, because I know for many years it's just like I just try to fix it myself, and every time I try to fix it, it made things worse. But when I just took it to the Lord and got my Bible and read and prayed, and God fixed it. There was a time I was a while back, just going through a terrible time, just in my life and my family, and even though I might not have been walking with the Lord, but I knew enough to call on His name, to get my Bible and pray, and and God God cleaned. He brought everything. Everything was fine. That's the easiest way I could put it. I mean, I thought everything was going. My whole life was just going to be destroyed, but God turned everything around, and there's. We've talked about it before. It's just God is so great. It is so big, and He is so wonderful. And it's just to think that He cares about me, And here, let's see, it's about a month or so ago. I was just sitting at home and flipping. I saw, hey, I had a Fire Stick, so we stream everything. It's like Passion of Christ. I think I'm gonna watch that. So I watched it again. And then you see that, when you see them how they're beating Jesus, and every time it's like, man, he took all that in pain for me. And just it's just amazing. It's just amazing how much God actually loves us, and you don't. Sometimes you do. You don't feel deserving of it, but He loves us despite what we've done, and I just want to continue to grow in this and serve the Lord. And there's many years ago, Micah, there was one of the best compliments I ever received. It wasn't really in the church, walking and coming to church on a regular basis, but I always carry myself, and nobody, but a guy just told me, he just mentioned, because nobody ever hears me cuss. There's no profanity, there's nothing comes on my mind. But just because of how I carry myself, it just made an impression on him. And it was just even though I wasn't walking with the Lord, but I started thinking about it. I said, man, if I just get in church, if I give my life over to the Lord, if I can make an impression on somebody that when I'm not walking with the Lord, what can I do if I really just gave myself to the Lord? So now I just want to, again, just keep growing, and hopefully, and I pray that I can be an inspiration to somebody, and touch someone's life, just like other people, yourself, your dad, my mom, Sister Betty, and so many other people in the church, and that's touched my life, and it makes me want to be a better person, and just a better man, and most definitely a better Christian.
The impacts, and this is what we were told about TV. If you get so many people called in, there's 100 to 200 times as much that are affected that never reach out. And I think that's the same in our outreach. If you had that one testimony, there's way more people that are watching you and affected that never said nothing. And I believe that, because especially I can talk for ourselves as guys, we don't talk about a lot of stuff. And we watch, but we don't say it. And I don't think we'll never know till heaven. And in heaven, we may not fully even understand how much we've affected people. So, Brother Michael, one of the big, and I know we're coming to a close, I got to ask this. We get a lot of people calling in depression, anxiety, attacks on them. And the Bible tells the enemy come to kill, to steal, and to destroy, but I come that you might have life and more abundantly. You talked about how you're feeling all this peace after losing your best friend. What is your secret? What are you doing? Is it like, tell us, because I know people are listening and they're thinking, I want the peace. I want that.
I think initially, so obviously you don't want to ever question God, because God makes no mistakes. But for me, I just kept trusting the Lord. I say, there's always a reason. There's always a reason things happen. It may not be the things we want. Obviously it hurt losing Mom, but also I think sometimes with death, there's a new life and a birth, and for me, I feel like what's been in me growing, just kind of just there for a long time, it's starting to come out, and that is my relationship with the Lord, And I think that's just a lot of things that she and just watching her over the years and things that she's instilled. And it's just even, I may not always been in church every Sunday or but I was here enough. I knew the Lord, you know. I'm just trusting God. That's all I'm doing. I'm just trusting God, and that's what's carrying me. After obviously losing mom, she was my best friend. We talked a lot, practically every day, and so. And it's funny because my relationship with mom is both of my parents are equally as important to me. But I have a different relationship with my dad than I do with my mom. Especially when I was growing up, it was mom. But then as I got older and become a man, it's like I reach out to my dad more about a lot more things. So it's funny. My sisters always tease me, you was mama's boy. They always tease me about that, but. And I know I was for some degree, but I think my mom and I bond was just because of church, because I was always here with her the majority of the time. So, and that's where we share our special bond.
Where Michael's talking about trusting in God, that can be hard, can it?
Yes,
but it pays out. The Bible tells us He never fails us. We've never seen the righteous forsaken. God ain't going to fail you. In our minds, we get to these points. Let me talk about me. I get to these points and I'm like, well, God, where are you? And I make myself feel failed. But God ain't going to fail me. God's never failed me. God's never failed someone before. And He's going to stick to His part of this. So if we can just give it to Him. And honestly, something that's helped me, Brother Michael, is being vulnerable. Just telling God, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I am struggling today. I need help.
Yes. And today is one of those days I need the help. And there was a time yesterday. There's some things that was going on in my personal life, and that was more so affecting my wife. But that's my wife, so is what affects her is that affects me. So. And now I was so close, like, man, I don't want to go down. I don't feel this, but I am so glad. I am so glad I came down, because the devil was just coming at me so many different angles, and I didn't want to come show up, but I'm glad I did. This has been so refreshing, and
I feel such an encouragement in me from being around you today. I think someone's going to watch this and get help. I feel that without a doubt in me today. I'm excited. Also, Brother Michael, we haven't done Kingdom Talk in a bit, and I'm glad to get it back rolling. I'm glad to have Brother Michael here. And pause, we got to talk about this. Mitchell, Michael, and Micah. We can't let that get out of here without getting mentioned. That's amazing. I know, giving a special thank you to Mitchell. He does this recording day in and day out, and he has to edit all this. He's got to color grade all this. He's got to cut it. He's got to put on the graphics. He's got to size everything up. I know that's a lot of work. And then Brother Michael drove, how far are you away?
About 45 minutes to an hour. 45
minutes to come down here to speak to you. So leave him a special thank you in the comments. Don't take this lightly. God used him to help you today. God used him to help me today. I know that for a fact. Anything else you want to add?
Just, if I could say anything else,
yes.
I don't know how many people only watch this, but if you could ever get an opportunity to come visit this church live, please do. You may watching it on TV or watching on the internet. It's great, because I have to do that sometimes when I'm working on Sundays. But it's nothing like being here, and where you can just literally feel the power of God moving. So if you ever get an opportunity, please come visit.
When baby was first born, I was home quite a bit, and I come in and worship team sang a song, and all these baggages that for some reason I picked up and decided to carry, it's like they broke off me in that worship, and honestly, being in there is special.
It is.
Dad would be hurt at me if I didn't mention this. This is his book, You Can't Kill a Promise, and we're still giving these away. We gave away so many, we had to order a second edition. So if you would like one of these, Chloe will put a link in the description, and we will get one of these to you. Or you can call our number, 1-877-226-4088. Oh, homework. It's Easter Sunday. I'm gonna try to watch Passion again.
Well, I think I will do that the same.
Hey, you want to see my mom and dad emotional? You watch them watch the Passion of the Christ, and it breaks you down.
It does.
Think, he did that. You know, you read it, and you read about the violence, and you read about it. It ain't nothing like when you see it visually.
It's nothing like that. It just. I'm thinking, I couldn't have done that. I could not have done that.
Thank you so much. Take a moment and like this and share this. Put a special thank you in the comments for Brother Michael. God bless you.